Hey Todd, I'm trying to see how this is turning out. Um, I was trying to go live here a few minutes prior, just had a southbound train that just went south. Missed that. I had a few other things I had to take care of, so I didn't get to get on this in time. Yeah, no restrictions, nothing else is coming. Nah, I think he's too busy. Too busy waiting on the call. So for those of you that are watching, our station master is busy as usual. So
Y'all do that. Be careful out there. Y'all be careful.
been a slow day. I haven't heard that many. We had a northbound I-155 went through here earlier. He was meeting a mixed freight that just went south here about 10 minutes ago. Well, that's about the only trains I've heard so far today. I don't know if there's been any others. Right now, we're just kind of looking right through the windows here. Some of the windows here at the museum have been replaced recently. We had some broken glass. These are actually some of the windows that were broken. They have been replaced. So now we got some better looking windows here. Right now we're just waiting on the pushers to come back. They just pushed the mixed freight up the hill, so they should be returning momentarily. Well, I went outside and looked. Pusher should be on the way back now. I don't know what the holdup is. He's under a restricting signal at CP South Cowan, as it's called. That's if you were at the museum here, you'd be looking to the north, seeing the signals. I'm hearing the horn. Down to Tuscaloosa. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
I got 25 coming back to Oklahoma. Still need some help.
Well, we just got word I-25 is 20 miles north of here. So that is going to be our next southbound train. What we're going to do for this, I'm going to take the camera. We're going to go outside, sit on the flat car that you see right out there, and just wait for them. What we're going to do right now is going to have to kind of pardon the shakiness. We're going to relocate. Now 25, we could, well, it's not adjusted right now. Bushes are gone north. They're gonna wait. Now 25 is coming through Tullahoma, which would be milepost 69. That's nearly 20 miles from here. So we're just gonna come out here and get set up for it. A little crooked. adjust the camera so we're level. A little bit slanted. Hey guys, Brian for Trainer Productions here. Today is National Train Day, May 9th. So wherever you are, I hope you're out trackside waiting for a train, camera, camcorder, you name it. It's been a little slow on this line. I haven't heard that many. I've seen 2 so far. We got the 3rd on the way. So you happen to be watching this, be sure to share. Like I said, if anybody's wanting to see any trains, this be a perfect time to do so. Also, museum has also got Iron Rail Cam's own camera that's just right up there. So if you happen to be on YouTube as well, you can probably see me standing out like the goofball I am. So right now the pushers just came back, but the dispatch was talking to them about pushing another train. It's going to be IO-25, which is a very long one. All the way out of, I think it's somewhere near Chicago or something like that. Is on his way down to Jacksonville, Florida. So we're going to wait for him. If you happen to be viewing this, please be sure to share, because I'm doing this for everybody. Another one of my good friends that's also live streaming today is Mike from Rail Moments. He's down in Dalton, Georgia. If you guys get a chance, check out his live stream as well. He's out for National Train Day, trying to see what all he can catch on the CSX and NS crossing there. The CSX being the WNA sub, Norfolk Southern's Atlanta North District, which has got plenty enough trains. What you're viewing here is the CSX Chattanooga sub, which is an old line that was completed in the mid-1850s. It was first started on in Nashville about 1850. And a portion through here was completed in 1853, was still being built at that time. They didn't get down to Chattanooga until the late 1850s when the line was officially completed. The historical signification of this place is the tunnel that's 2 miles to the south here was worked on for 3 years, starting in 1849, completed in 1852, and then a year later is when the rail line was laid through here, laid through the tunnel. But what's also significant about this place is the pushers. And the story going on there is they were trying to run the first revenue train in 1853 on its way down, and it got stuck on the hill. So executives and railroaders had to come up with a solution, and that was to bring another locomotive down from Nashville. They get on the back end of the train and push it all the way up the hill. So hence, the Cowan pushers was established. And glad to see my friend Todd is actually watching the stream here. I was happy you can tune in. Also, be sure to share the word. Next Saturday is Cowan Rail Fan Appreciation Day, hosted by myself. We'll also have Mike from Rail Moments going to be doing a live stream here. We'll also have many people here as well, just to come and enjoy the day of trains. Hoping to have a lot of fun with that. If you're out for some good family gatherings, this is a perfect place to do it. We also got hot dogs and chips, all drinks being provided just for a day of train watching that we do every spring and every fall. Well, except this fall, it might be rescheduled.
Medium approach, Cowan, West 2, West 4, north, 83209.
As we heard, at H381 has got a medium approach at Mid-Cowan, which is the signal just north of the old yard. He is on his way up to go wait for CS6 IO25 out of Chicago, on his way to Jacksonville, Florida. So we're going to see what kind of power he's got, but these are pretty long trains. This is a high priority train. This is one of those ones, if you ever heard the term get you fired, that if you don't get the train down on time, it would get you fired. Notably being that it has UPS and other various trailers on it. Yeah, I've been seeing that as well, Todd. Tony's been doing a countdown on Mike's live stream every time he gets on there. So, 1 week from today is our Cowan Rail Fan Appreciation Day. Like I said, come on down. Bring your friends, bring your cameras, camcorders. We're going to have hot dogs, chips, drinks, and maybe some surprises in there as well. So, be sure to come enjoy the day with us here at the Cowan Railroad Museum for Cowan Rail Fan Appreciation Day. If you happen to hear that, that's not gunshots, that's fireworks. Some kids are playing with fireworks around here. Appreciate the likes, guys. And like I said, be sure to share this live stream and tell them it's Trina Productions. They can also look up Trina85, my former handle. Celebrating National Train Day today, May 9th, 2026. We're here along the CS6 Chattanooga sub at milepost 87, which is just right in front of the Cowan Railroad Museum. bit of chatter. Our southbound train should be getting a little bit closer. About 10 minutes ago, dispatch said he was going right through Tullahoma, which is at milepost 69. And we're sitting at milepost 87, so that's nearly a 20-mile mark from where we're at. IO-25 is a high priority train. It's got containers and trailers, including UPS trailers, so packages being shipped, it's making it a high priority train. It is a fairly long train. You'll see the length of it as it's coming through here, depending on how much power it has on the front. It may have a mid DPU or a distributed power unit that's in the middle to kind of keep the balance on the train itself, along with the pushers being on the tail end to assist it up the hill, because it is a pretty big train. So I've heard a little bit of a buzz there. It was changing where no hearing notification sounds while we're waiting for our train here. unnecessary to blast on your music. Sheesh. Those of you tuning in, we're waiting on one southbound train. He should be in the vicinity by now. CSX IO 25, which is a high priority intermodal train all the way out from the Chicago area on its way to Jacksonville. Oh, I think I hear him clicking off. Here in a moment, I'm going to duck down and see if I can take a look so you probably see me in camera view. This is a fairly long train. You'll see it's got a mixture of containers. It's also got trailers on flat cars, or TOFCs for short. So you get to see that. We're going to check and see if the train is in the area. So, like I said, I hope you stick around. You get to see some train action. Well, a little bit of an update. I know you saw me down there, but he is not in view yet. We're still waiting, but I heard a chirp off the scanner, so it tells me he's getting closer. He's probably in the vicinity of Deckard, which is, I would say, 5 miles from here, milepost 82. And I've seen a truck pull, so I might have some company. Yeah, maybe they're just looking at the train stuff. Sorry, I didn't see a comment soon, Todd. That should be IO 25 that passed by you earlier, so it should be about to Deckard already. Deckard is at milepost 82, it's 5 miles from here, so should see him shortly. He'll get the pushers on the back of it. Here's some noise to the northwest of us. Could be on the main line, could be our train coming in.
No defect, good count.
Okay, he's just right up there. Somebody's got in a good count. It's probably our pushers. And I'm seeing the head end of aisle 25 from here.
Alright.
Should be coming to a stop.
Got any more of them? Yeah, I got to knock it down, man. It's our tail way back here until we get up our own. Alright.
See if we can zoom up on him.
I think you have clear signal, I just don't know how much.
Maybe I can kind of just a hair. If you can see through the slit of the windows, as aisle 25, that's his head end there. He's gonna be waiting to get the pushers on, so he's a fairly big train. So we're gonna kind of hand it back here. So I'm just gonna wait on him. Oh, very funny, Sterling. Very funny. Glad to see you're tuning in, Sterling. I'll be doing all right, buddy. I'm just out here just celebrating today. Those of you tuning in, be sure to share the live stream. We're here live at the Cowan Railroad Museum, milepost 87 here on the CSX Chattanooga sub, awaiting CSX I-25 out of Chicago, bound for Jacksonville, Florida. He's getting the pushers put on as we speak. His head end is actually peeking right at the signal. If you go rewind back further in the stream there. Yeah, I kind of seen your postings there on Facebook. I imagine that's an awful lot of driving you had to do, Sterling.
I'm gonna go over to 66 for a minute. Okay, we'll go over. I ain't gonna have no leeway back here. Tell me it's gonna be right over there.
Alright, we're gonna switch
Yeah,
this.
man, I pulled past the signal a little bit down here on the south end. He had a red fence that popped up.
Uh-oh. Switch the scanner to scan, see if we can pick up 66 or 161.100. They're going to talk to the dispatcher, probably for a signal issue. Here we go.
XSC, train dispatch Jax, Ranch, or no? I own 25 on that. 25 over. Yeah, I pulled about half car past the signal down in South Cowan, try to clear up the north end for the push in. The red fence popped up once we stopped. Clean it up for you. Say that again. Clear it up for you. No, it's still showing like it's a red fence up.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like to me is either needing to pull past the signal, or he's getting the red block, even though he's getting the pushers put on. He doesn't have the clear, so sounds like a little bit of signal trouble here on the CSX. Hopefully, they get that cleared up.
About if 382 pulls you back to clear the signal. Think that'll help over. Yeah, that might help once they get coupled on. Yeah, that'll work. 382, you on there over? Alright, so that's good. Yeah, you think you're gonna clear the LS north into Cowan? He's gonna be really close, Mark. Yeah, they can probably ride on it. There's only a couple up there. I'll look at it. Make sure I'm clear. Or once you couple on, then we can pull them back. Another signal there. I'll give another signal that should clear this PTC up. I don't say that. We'll couple up there and go from. Yeah, quick question, Mark. This is hour 25. Are they going to keep us down here or are they turning us back? I don't know if anybody's turning back. The chief hasn't told me. Yeah, I just wanted to know if we're going to the hotel. That's all. I kind of want to go to the hotel. Okay. All right, if I hear something, I'll let you know. All right.
Somebody's here to go back to bed. You hear a whole bunch of stuff here on this line.
I gotta make a couple up here in just a second. Back over here then. Free. Yeah, everybody saw the wall there. What's going on? I didn't hear you. Yeah, we're about to couple up back here, David. I guess they better for you to show us back on it. Yeah, just as long as you got a signal up there, I can shove them back. Okay, yeah, we still act about a car. We have a couple of those, and that's about what I'll act on this signal back here. Clear, come in, get 5, 6, 8.
people going off-roading today. Well, while we're waiting for our train, all for those of you tuning in, the Ohio trip they've been planned at the end of this month has been pushed back to July. My buddy Mike from Middle Tennessee Rail Productions is planning a different trip, and it was something he wanted to accomplish to get, so we basically rescheduled the Ohio trip from Memorial Day weekend to the 4th of July weekend, so we're going to see if we can get good train coverage that time. That's going to be my next big video project. And on another note, recently this week, Real Moments, along with Whistleblower Productions, two good friends of mine, made a trip to Irondale, Alabama, which is a suburb of Birmingham. Mayor James D. Stewart Jr. made a proclamation for today for the city of Irondale to celebrate National Train Day on behalf of all rail fans that rail fan right there in Irondale. So if you happen to enjoy trains, that's another good place to go is Irondale. You're basically right at the entrance to Norris Yard, so a lot of trains going in and out. You also got the parallel main line of the East End District for trains going to and from Atlanta. Okay, well, this sounds like 25 is going to get a move. So for anybody that's looking to enjoy trains, they're gonna City Irondale is actually gonna make some additions, to accommodate a rail fan that's coming to the area to train watch. Accessible Wi-Fi, which should be really accommodating for any rail fan that's wanting to go live. Rail Moments accepted the proclamation on behalf of all rail fans that attend the area. And just going to reiterate that it's not just for Rail Moments, but he was accepting it on behalf of the rail fan community. So, very big step for a city that's recognizing its railroad heritage. If it wasn't for the railroads, the city of Irondale would not be there. Just like here in Cowan, if it wasn't for the railroad, town of Cowan. Okay, it looks like he's backing up from what I'm seeing. So it looks like they're kind of accommodating for the pushers. They can't go past a signal. It's just big enough to where they can back up and basically get connected on. So that's going to free up the signal at South Cowan. So hopefully 025 will have a green signal when they're ready to go, which is the other signal facing north for southbound trains, unlike the signal that we're looking at, which is facing south for northbound trains. Now, he biked up quite a bit. So hopefully about the next few minutes or so, you'll see I-025 making his way through here. I was just recently down in Folkestone, Georgia last month, which had commemorated 25 years since this platform opening, so I was there to witness it. If you guys get a chance, go on my channel. I saved the live stream of the speech being made. Speech was done up by Danny Harmon, who's Distant Signal on YouTube.
Alright.
Hopefully, in the next few minutes, our train should be leaving. They're taking procedure as far as brake pressure. Anyways, getting back to what I was saying, I was there to witness it, and like I say, you go on my channel. I did save the live stream clip. The speech is done by Danny Harmon. This is Signal on YouTube. Also, Dixie McGurn, who is the former mayor of Folkestone at the time of the platform's opening in 2001, who also owns a shop in downtown Folkestone called Whistlin' Dixie. So if you guys get a chance, for a good road trip, Folkestone is a good place to go. But also be sure to pay a visit to Whistlin' Dixie. They got some, great food, great desserts, and they're really good on their ice cream. They also got merchandise. You probably seen it earlier when I was doing an introduction. The shirt I am wearing was bought from there. And it's a shirt that says, "I'm just here for the trains." That's basically every rail fan saying whenever they get out for train watching.
Right, we got a clear signal here in South Cowan. I'm pulling on. Oh, here we go.
All right, here we go. CS6IO 2509 has got the clear at South Cowan. Ready to proceed on here through South. Here we go. Let's see if we can get a horn honk. Now from here, he's got 3 on the head end, so he's got some beef power in towing this train. Here we go.
Starting in.
He's starting in. This train is over 2 miles long. And the pushers are coming up. Oh, there's an old Walmart trailer. There's the pushers. Yeah, it is sticking out there.
I got news for you, kid. I asked you twice on the chat. What company? Because you weren't watching the chat. So finally, at one point, I thought, hurry up. You know, it takes a while for the trains to get the pushers and stuff. I thought, maybe I'll beat it. Of course, I have like 10,000 red lights. I hit everyone. And it was like, I didn't want to speed because, like, you see what's sitting across the street?
Yep.
So when I came around the corner, way down there, I saw her crossing the tracks. I thought, well, come in the back way. Don't sit in the mess of traffic. I don't get to see you too. I thought, take advantage if you know where he's at.
Yeah, I would have got on sooner, but I had a couple issues I had to take care of. Our lead attendant who opened this up brought up a couple issues, and I already told our president about it, so that's getting fixed. Then I had to stick this on charge. So,
Yeah, you took, because I didn't expect you to go be doing it live.
well, being National Train Day, I wanted to go live. I was like, yeah, I know I could have gone sooner. I just had to get everything else done.
Yeah. Oh no. That's like, all, what was it? I was on the phone talking to Mike all morning long. Finally, at one point, I asked him, I said, what, are you doing a live today? And his wife was there, and she goes like, we got to be at so-and-so at 4 o'clock. And he was like, oh, let me take a quick shower and I'll get down. I said, just find someplace close. Yeah. Well, what does Mike do? He drives all the way down to Dalton.
Yeah, no.
And I thought, if you're on limited time, you decide to go to Dalton, because you probably have seen it. I'm now Braille Moments chat moderator. So whenever Mike goes live, I make myself available.
Yeah.
It's like the thing just, luckily I didn't have any plans because it all went to pooping back.
Right. Yeah. You guys are watching the stream. Todd actually joined me, who was chatting in on the chat earlier. Of course, Todd don't live that far away from me. Yeah, like it says, there was 2 other trains. I didn't get them in time. I-155 went north. And of course, I was talking with the lead attendant about something. We were sitting there watching it. Well, and next, here comes the southbound. And man, he had a loud horn on us. I was like, man, I wish I had gotten set up in time. But I ended up on 2 phone calls out of it. It was like, yeah, it never fails. I'm trying to get stuff fixed, but sometimes like I'm trying to get out of here.
Oh, I know, because I was bopping around and I was telling myself, you need to get off the computer. Of course, I always check, IRC, and I saw that train you were talking about blam down through. And then next thing I know, there's a ding, and oh, it's Brian. Because I told Mike this morning we were babbling, and I got confused. I
Hey,
thought
all
you were
yours,
going to be
Dave.
in Marion this week.
Yeah, it was actually the end of the month, but they got pushed back because the guy I ride with, I forget where I know where it was. He wanted to go to Iowa for some event. He said, he wanted to go there and basically cover. I forget what it was they told me. And he said it was important to him. So, well, I told him, well, because of a few things that have been going on, so we could just push that trip back, to later, a time and all, if you want to go do that. So we were, we got in discussion about this. Originally I was going to pick Labor Day weekend. And he said, well, I got something going on, at that time there. And he goes, well, what about the 4th of July? We goes, well, we can probably make that work.
So that's now your tentative.
That's the tentative.
Yeah, because I told Mike I get confused. Lots of people tell me things. It gets jarbled up in his whole brain.
Yeah.
And that's where I got confused about when you were supposed to. He goes, I said something about you and Marion, and one, he didn't know anything about like where Marion was, and then he goes, I just saw Brian Thursday. And I said, well, that proves that my brain is not remembering
Yeah,
correctly.
originally it was supposed to be Memorial Day weekend. Like I said, that being pushed back, I was like, oh, that's fine. I mean, even when I still go out there, I'm gonna try and go live. Because Marion, oh man, that's quite the place if you ever up for a road trip. It's about 45 minutes north of Columbus, Ohio. Straight up US 23. You get off at the exit, you're gonna go west. I mean, you hit right at downtown. I mean, it's like right there. I mean, can't miss it. You got three main lines that kind of intersect like really close to each other. I mean, it just makes it quite the spot.
See, being from Ohio, of course, I've heard of Marion, and I knew about, you know, the grand collection of diamonds they have.
Yep.
And I was telling that to, I had to explain that to Mike after I brought it up about you, and I said, Marion is cool as all heck. I said, it's one of Brian's favorite spots. I said, it's actually more exciting than, shit, I want to say the word Foster, but far north of that.
Oh yeah.
I know the name. Oh God, I can't say it.
Uh,
It's
Fostoria.
Fostoria,
Yeah.
right? Where they have their famous triangle. And I said, now I said, told him, I said, now I've never been either place. I said that I was up in Cleveland, and that's too far away. And plus, you know, most of my time up there, I was barely driving.
Yeah.
So I didn't go off on train. Well, I didn't do any train exploring back then.
Yeah. Well, if you did now and you were up in Cleveland or Berea, it'd be your closest spot there because everybody goes to that one.
Yeah. Now, when I was up there, you know, because I moved down here when I was just turned 19.
Mm-hmm.
During my time there in the 60s and 70s, it was dead. It was at the worst part of
Oh
railroad
yeah.
history. And like, you know, oh, who was the original railroad through there? It was God. Now my brain is going bad memory wise because
Yeah.
the Big Four,
Yeah.
which is now CSX, it was dead. I mean, there were no
Oh
trains
yeah.
running
Yeah.
on that
Reason
track
being,
at all.
right at that time, you had Penn Central, which
Right, thank you. It was I had to. It's like
yeah.
trying to get my brain to jive now. And it was in a town we used to live in because I lived in Berea.
Mm-hmm.
Was then moved to Strongsville, moved back to Berea, then we moved back to Strongsville, which is a town just down from it. And the only time my dad went on pushers, but my dad was not a train freak.
Try to see my camera views on. Well, it was like when I lived in Canton for a short time, I was studying all those areas. Of course, like I said, when it came to railroad history, yeah, Penn Central really sticks right out there. And was like, oh yeah, the biggest murder in history. They had tracks all over the place, but of course, that didn't go well.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, 2 years in the company already declared bankruptcy. So yeah, that tells you something that shouldn't have happened.
Well, it's like I joke with people who are not, are newer to trains. I said, now Penn Central, I said, I don't know what to say about it other than you take a bankrupt Pennsylvania Railroad, a bankrupt New York Central. Whose bright idea that if you shove those two big bankrupt corporations together, something magical will happen?
Oh yeah.
471, got
And of
registered
course it
South
did.
Cowan. You can to West
Yeah, not the brightest idea. But yeah, it's funny because somebody put a book out a long time ago, and it was well after Penn Central had gone, called Rick at the Penn Central, and I happened upon that book. Yeah, of course, it was in somebody's library. I was in an antique shop somewhere in Ohio where I found it, and I didn't pick it up. I didn't read it, and I kind of sit and thought about it. Well, later years, I was like, something makes me want to read it. Well, I went to this library and I was able to order the book. They were able to get it from another library, bring it to where I could borrow it. I read that whole thing, and by the time I was done reading it, I shook my head. It's like it should have never happened.
There's so many other things. I don't know. Now I don't know the inner workings as to why idea that was, but you knew it was a bad idea, and I was even a younger kid then, so
Yeah.
I knew enough that dumb idea.
Yep. Well, what gets me is, when you traverse back, they got the idea because you figured the Delaware, Lackawanna, Western merged with the Erie, which that worked in winter, even though the Erie had been bankrupt its whole life. That and Norfolk and Western buying out the Nickel Plate and the Wabash, so they can get farther in, getting Chicago connection, St. Louis connection, all that. Well, they wanted to get that idea. The problem was, if you looked at both railroads who they wanted to merge, it still wouldn't have worked. New York Central wanted to merge with the C&O. That still would have kept them on the East Coast. And the thing is, the C&O didn't have any interest in that whatsoever because they had just bought ownership of the B&O.
Oh no,
Yeah, so
no. What a lot of people don't, because believe me, B&O was the railroad I grew up with. Everywhere we lived, there was the B&O. No, it turns out sort of like the NCNSL with L&N.
mm-hmm.
C&O had basically controlling interest of the B&O way back.
Yeah.
I'm not very good in dates, but they had a controlling interest. But sort of like the L&N had a big chunk of NCNSL stock, they allowed it to operate as an independent thing. Same way with the B&O. And it wasn't until, I forget what point in time, probably back in the late 50s, early 60s, that C&O just said, okay, guys, because B&O had already bought out Western Maryland.
Yeah.
And that's when they decided, yep, that's it, guys. We're merging. Thus came the Grand Chessie, which
Chelsea was the holding company, but it still kept them.
Right.
All three
right.
were
They were
separate.
still right. The big name that held it all. But that's when they pulled together. Didn't break my heart because it was like, well, I won't lie. As a little kid,
Yeah.
I couldn't understand. There was my beloved B&O, which had gone to the diesel age of all blue, yellow layering.
Yep. Yep.
And then I saw my first CNO. It's like, those copycats. I did not know. Actually, it was the other way around. And so, and then of course, that's why I love Chessie. Right?
Oh yeah.
And how that's why I joke with you about like all the mergers, the history of
Yep.
mergers. That has gone for so long in the railroad world.
Oh, it has. And I sit there researched all of it, and like I say, the CNO, when they got ownership of the B&O, is like they backed out any idea having to do with the New York Central, which I can understand that. Well, the Pensy, where at that time was wanting to merge with the Norfolk and Western. Well, the reason why that didn't happen is when the Norfolk and Western got the nickel plate and the Wabash, so they backed out of it. And what was stupid about it is it was more or less, a forced shotgun wedding. Oh, well, we got no other choice. We're going to have to merge. Yeah, if you pull up the map, they about go to every same place. That's where disaster was going to happen.
Now, see, you're about to lead in something I was going to say, but like seriously, Norfolk and Western, I can see why they would potentially want to CNO, but both railroads were doing too good
Mm-hmm.
to, you don't merge when both railroads are strong. You go after the weaker stuff.
Yeah.
So that would never have happened.
No.
Now, here's something I'll say, because once again, B&O at heart, so thus CSX is yay my
Yep.
railroad.
Yep.
But I always loved the Norfolk and Western because their history, more so like than my beloved B&O, like when the Great Depression hit, railroads were having the worst time at it,
Oh yeah.
except for one railroad, Norfolk and Western. They had their stuff so good.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't bothered financially. A little hurt, but as far as a major corporation, no, they survived it. Came out of it stronger than most of all
Well,
the other
yeah,
railroads.
because I mean,
They were a powerhouse,
well,
and they
yeah.
had good management. Bad management going all the way back,
Yeah.
and it's no wonder it sort of failed it. Now, but like the recent merger with, when they broke up Conrail, be quite honest, if you look at all the lines and stuff, Norfolk Southern really hit the jackpot, because the problem with the CSX game, okay, we're gonna get New York Central. But most of our lines already run to the same place. It's a
Uh-huh.
duplication where Norfolk Southern got the good part where no, they were able to expand into territory they never were into.
Yeah.
Way more so than CSX. So it's like, yeah, I wonder why, like, the standings are who's the biggest? UP, BNSF, Norfolk Southern, and CSX comes in last place of those big four.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of it, is that they did gain, but from what they gained, they already had lines in all those locations.
Yeah.
It really didn't gave them a big boost like Norfolk Southern did. And yes, last I heard, I don't read enough, but like on the current merger plans, I heard that they've just kept stumbling and stumbling. And
Well, problem is, okay, I talked to a buddy of mine that works down there at the bus yard. He's a student locomotive electrician, young guy. I've known him for years. I done a video on discussion about that. Well, he had seen the video after I uploaded it. Called me later that night, and I actually found out in the source of what it is. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of resistance to that murder. You figure Norfolk Southern, each of the yards, uh, Chattanooga and Altoona are about your biggest repair yards. So, if any locomotive that has to be fixed, it's either going to be sent to one of those two.
yeah,
Okay. Union Pacific contracts with Wabtec, slash General Electric, if any of the stuff has to be fixed, it's sent it to them. which means okay, that's a contract job that they're cutting the corner with, versus Norfolk Southern having their own employees, to work on the locomotives if there's ever an issue. Well, the reason being is they got into discussion, and their fear is okay, if this merger was to take place, that if any work that has to be done in Chattanooga or Altoona, they get rid of it.
Because I know which video you're talking about. You
Yeah.
posted the one that I wrote
Yeah.
not quite a book, but and I pulled it because I thought uh, this is Brian's channel, not yours. Do not go giving a history lesson to Brian. So that's why I pulled it, because.
But hearing that out of him is like, yeah, I understand it because of being a union job, they, you know, versus Union Pacific, which you can care less about union jobs. If this merger was to take place and all, it's like, okay, you would see a majority of the staff that works on these locomotives down there in Chattanooga and Altoona, they'd be cut.
Seriously, they would.
Yeah, they would. So there's a lot of pushback because they don't want this happening because of them losing their job. Well, there's a coalition that's going against the merger, and it's all for the shipping. And the reason being is somebody had done an analysis as far as the shipping goes. The percentage that each railroad is hauling there, and you figure both railroads are making big bucks. But the problem is, okay, if you got something that's coming from California, it has to be shipped to the East Coast. Okay, you're talking two railroads are handling it, so they're agreeing to a certain percentage. Okay, well, whoever the customer is, they're gonna pay for that percentage, being hauled, and then the other percentage, from the other railroad, that they're gonna agree to. That's what they're gonna have. Now, somebody went in there and basically looked it up and said that customer wouldn't be able to afford shipping whatever it is if that merger was to take place because that interest rate would actually go like that.
Exactly.
So that's why there's a coalition going against it, because they don't want to pay the higher interest percentage whatever goods are being shipped out, which, yeah, that's understandable because you got a lot of businesses that are there to make money. Whenever their product gets there and all that, gets bought and all, it gets, you know, their revenue goes back to them. They want to keep that revenue instead of having to spend more just to send it out. Because if that becomes the case of it, they're not making any money.
And see, I look at it from a more fundamental point of view. Because, CSX is my favorite, but, I got a lot of respect for Norfolk Southern.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention that. I really like the paint jobs better.
Yeah.
But, listen, but, I did. I look at it from that point. But to me, it's like, right now, we are basically, if you have to count CN and CP, we got 6 Class 1 railroads.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the big 4, not counting the Canadians. To merge Norfolk Southern into UP, you're basically taking the 4 biggest, making it into 3 biggest. Of course, one's going to be monster.
Yeah.
UP would become a friggin' monster. And just for the economics of that, it's like, bad idea. And, even when they first talked about it, then came the talks like, would BNS and CSX have merged? And of course, they were both sides of them were saying, no, we might come up with agreements, but we have no interest on either side to merge.
They don't.
But there's to be a point, like I argued with people, I said, but to what point, if that merger with UP and S happened, how long, realistically, company-wise, before they would almost have to merge BNSF and CSX? I said, now you're taking what is 6 Class 1s. Now you're going to turn it into 4, because if you get the other 2, all the U.S. ones merging, then you're going to have 2 big dominant railroads, I just don't see how that would benefit anyone,
No.
anyhow, anywhere. And like then my final joke I make with all the NS folks is, no, I do not want to see the black thoroughbreds disappear because
No.
anybody who's I've seen jokes about, what it'd be called. Get real. Look at UP. UP is merged with lots of railroads. It comes out as UP. Anybody who thinks that UP is going to rename themselves to some
No,
screwed up
yeah.
UPNS or some kind of
No, it's
crazy
just
act,
gonna come
it's
out
gonna be
UP.
it's gonna be
Yeah.
UP. Everything's gonna go yellow. I just like that idea, just from a the rail fan point of view, without me joking about the economics of what happens if you merge two monsters. And it's like, no, not up for it. So every time I hear they ran into some kind of problem, it's like, yay. And by the
Yeah,
same
just
token, I mean, I wouldn't want to see CSX have to merge with BNSF, but who knows? Who knows?
just I think an aspect is that they just want to dominate the market, but the problem is there's repercussions out of that. They don't realize it.
Well, that's like one of the first turning points where, yo, Norfolk Southern stockholders are all for it. Uh, yeah, from a money point of view for them, yeah, but that doesn't reflect like what's going to do to the economy and blah blah blah.
Well, the economy, the employee staff, they don't look at it like that. Because like I sit there questions like, okay, well, where are they getting opinions of the shareholders, the stockholders, and all that? Because I like to see that. Because anytime I hear something like that, it's like, to me, it's like the lousiest excuse. Like CSX had Joe Heinrichs, who was a really good CEO. He came from, the Ford Motor Company, came on there, and then the man was all about, the working staff. He'd go to various places on the railroad, meet with these guys, see the importance of it. And of course, what happens? They fire him over the worst excuse, like, oh, well, the stockholders didn't like what he was doing. It's like, really? The guy was all about PR and going to meet, the guys that work on the ground and work at the tracks. No, you're going to fire him over that?
Don't
It's
get me,
like,
yeah, because me in corporate America, I've been through two big companies I worked for that went through the treadmill of buyouts and crap to like one of them, which ended up as BF Goodrich, or
mm-hmm.
just then they chopped the BF off because they didn't want to be confused with the tire company, which they had sold off, which was totally a different entity.
Yeah.
And then, well, they don't exist anymore. They are gone because they got bought out by. I'm trying to think what the big company was, but they got bought out just for one reason: to shut them down, to take over their customer base,
Yeah.
which were the airline, not the airlines, but Boeing.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
basically Boeing. Oh, that's why. Yeah, that's why I don't worry too much about that end of it. It's just like I just worry about this level, the rail fan level. It's easier, serves, it calms my nerves.
Yeah. Yeah, some of it's ridiculous. Like, a while back, NS, Alan Shaw, who succeeded Squares. Squares was an idiot. Shaw came on with this mess and basically turned everything around for that company. He was doing good, of course. What happens? Oh, well, it's his fault for the East Palestine derailment. How?
That's not the
Some,
CEO. That is the underlings that should have been, your higher paid managers, let's
well,
phrase
he was getting
that.
he was getting the bulk of the blame for that derailment. It's like, okay, well, that wasn't his fault. Okay, whatever was happening with the track there should have been paid more attention to, which means that goes back on, track foremen and all that should have been doing inspections. You know, and of course, yeah, it was a pretty disastrous derailment.
Well, see, the reason why I say upper level management, right? This is, because your CEO has his things, but the actual to dos down at this
Yeah.
level, and like that derailment, it basically was Norfolk Southern's OP saying, well, if you get a defect warning, hot box, and of course it gives a temperature, if you're at this temperature, don't worry yet. Hit another one. If it's at this temperature,
Mm-hmm.
no, don't worry yet. By the time they hit, what was it, the third defect detector, and the temperature had spiked like crazy, even though they
Yeah.
knew, and the engineers were at fault, they were going by OP. And it's like, well, the instructions, we can't stop. And by the time they hit the third one, the temperature had spiked on that unit, or on that bad bearing. And next thing you know, before they could even slow the train down, bam.
Yep.
Right. So to me, that's nope. Wasn't the engineers? No, it wasn't the track crew. Nothing wrong truly with the track. It was the OPs about at what point, at what temperature do you get off a defect detector? Do you have to worry about stopping your train?
Right.
And that's what it came down to. And that's like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you get a defect there. I mean, yeah, that's an immediate reason to
And so,
stop.
of course, I just love it, like, when it happened, and then, everybody's, like, pointing fingers, like, it's not our fault. It's true. No, it's not true. Okay, it was a trap. No, it's not the trap. Hell, I knew one guy who was a conspiracy theorist.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, there was an explosion on the train. I said, there was no explosion. I said, the damn bearing seized up, caught on fire. It then totally seized up. Wheel seizes up. It's not turning. Wham!
Yep.
And he was like, oh, no, it was an explosion. And I had to, it was like about a few weeks later, a report came out. I forced him to read it. I said, it was not a sabotage, blow up explosion thing. It said it was just bad practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Well, for whoever's watching this, I'm going to go ahead and shut our live stream now. I got to charge up the equipment. Don't know when our next train is, so want to thank you all for tuning in. If I'm able to get back on later, just be sure to tune in. Otherwise, I'll see you guys later.